Okay, welcome back. The dominant story in a long time, and I wouldn't cover it as I have been doing if it weren't something that A, I had never seen before in my life, and B, have been able to do enough research on to understand that this is potentially almost limitless in the catastrophic impact it will have or can have or might have on life as we know it on this planet. It's that bad, and that's no overstatement. If you have been watching, now communism and communist governments are not very cool, all right? Let's just put it right there and leave it. But if you look at the videos as to what's going on in Wuhan, and we don't know what's going on in the other cities, we know there's a partial lockdown in Beijing. We know the same as in, I believe it's Shanghai. But in Wuhan, it's war. They're rounding up citizens on the street, tying them together with about 4 feet of rope or twine or whatever it is between them, and marching them in single file down the street, and they go away. I've got video up there right now. Somebody's on a motorbike going down the street. You look left, you look right. It's a residential street, 2-story buildings. All the ground floor front doors have been nailed shut by the same kind of plywood. The government did it. They nailed all those people shut in their homes. And there are cars and motorbikes parked right out in front. There are people in there. Or are they all dead? We don't know. And then we've seen the other videos, just horrible things. I got one up there today. These communist cops are brutal. They attacked a woman and her young child, threw them both to the ground. I've seen. So when you think about, when all of you out there, I know I'm preaching to the choir, but understand that this Ocasio woman and Bernie Sanders, a lifelong communist, that's the face of communism you're seeing. It's what it is. Totalitarian communism. That's what it is. You want to live under that? I don't think so. And the only reason those people are being abused as they are, many of them obviously killed or sentenced to death by virtue of contamination and exposure to those who are already infected, they're in that position because they have no Second Amendment. They have no firearms. They can't protect themselves. We lose our guns here. That's what we're facing. All right, right now, Richard Allgire is back up tonight, along with a special guest back again, Edward Riordan, 2 of the 3 truly great remote viewers, along with Daz Smith, that work out of Hawaii, so to speak, under Dick Allgire's aegis. He is the man who kind of helps move things along, and they have done some astounding work, which you're going to see this hour. Hello, Richard, and welcome back.
Hello, Jeff. It's good to be with you. And I'm not in charge of this thing. I'm kind of the more public face because of my background in TV news, and I do so many YouTube videos. It's run out of corporate is in Florida, and Edward is in Austin. So I don't run it. I'm just one of the cogs.
Well, you're a significant cog. How's that?
Yeah, we're all significant. Yeah.
No, I know you've always spoken about your colleagues as equals. You always have. That's who you are. And I don't mean to say that they aren't equals. I just say you're the visible face, so you're the facilitator as far as the world is concerned.
I'm a lot better than Edward Riordan. I'm more handsome, and I'm a nicer guy. You know,
he has a better head of hair than I do.
You know, I'm just all in all better person.
Well, such candor. I'm not used to it. Just lighten up a bit. All right.
Well, I tell you, Jeff, this is one of the great things. We have so much fun. Dick, Daz, and I, and the rest of the crew. We laugh and joke. We tackle a lot of extremely serious things.
Oh yeah.
In our remote viewing, and but I tell you, when we're hanging out on Zoom or whatever, we just have a blast. We love to laugh, and we got to have fun.
Yeah, we don't take ourselves too seriously, so we do these every week. We do a debrief, and we we present a pretty serious face, but we record sometimes 2 hours, and at some point we relax and we do outtakes, and our editor invariably takes the outtakes and puts them on for our audience to see. It's pretty funny.
Nice.
Yeah.
Very good. Well, we have to maintain some kind of an ability, even if it's black humor, to laugh at some of the insanity that is just unfolding before our eyes 24 hours a day. And I don't just mean in China, although that's bad enough. What's going on in China is having right now, and you gentlemen know that as well as anyone, international worldwide supply chain chaos is beginning to rear its head. And if you don't think it's bad now, you just hold on for a week or two and watch out. All of a sudden, things aren't going to be in Walmart. They're not going to be delivered here. 97% of our antibiotics aren't going to be coming here. If you have a business and you buy all of your inventory from China, it's not going to be coming here either. It'll sit on a container ship out there for God knows how long. It's all changing. We have been allowed to lean on China and to use cheap Chinese labor, and Trump did nothing to turn that around. He said he was going to, but it's no big surprise. So we're in trouble, Dick. This is bad. I'm not joking.
Well, Jeff,
not at all.
We've been talking a long time. I've done a lot of shows with you. You've never heard me come on and make dire predictions and doom and gloom and end of the world and apocalypse. You've never heard me say that.
No.
This could be the end of our current civilization happening right now.
I want to tell you right now, Dick is not exaggerating, all right? I'm with him 100% on this. We talk a lot privately, and you listen to him. He is correct.
I heard your show last week with Gerald Celente, and I love Gerald Celente. I love his wit. His forecasts are great. Yeah. I'm a big fan of Gerald Celente, but he dismissed this when you brought it up, and you were such a gentleman. You don't challenge your guests. You let them say their thing. But
no, it's his right to say what he wants. And
I respect Gerald. I disagree with his thesis on this one. I disagree with him. So,
right.
And
all the indications.
And as we have this discussion tonight, let me give this caveat. Some of what we're going to tell you is based on remote viewing, and remote viewing is it has been used as an intelligence tool by various governments and various intelligence agencies, but prudently, they don't rely on remote viewing solely. If they have other information, then remote viewing is just accessory or collateral information. So, some of what we're going to tell you is remote viewing, and we've gotten some other information as recently as 5 hours ago.
Yeah.
That is not based on remote viewing, but is quite disturbing.
Dick and I talked about 4 hours ago, and this is. Just let me say this: there is no overstating the gravity of the potential that we face right now. Okay? All right.
Well, and we'll get to the remote viewing in a minute, and Edward will get right to you, but our remote viewing gets attention of some high-level people. Remote viewing works. We're pretty good at it, and there are some people that watch us and say, hey, you guys do pretty good. And from time to time, they contact us. And we've gotten information that this pandemic there are people who feel it's going to go worldwide.
Right.
It's going to shut down the supply chains. Well, if you look at what's happening in China, like you said, they're locking people up. The whole place is shut down. If that comes to America, what will that do to the economy? What will it do to the economy if no one can travel? If stuff can't get delivered, if you can't go out of your house? The economy, as we know, is based on a lie. It's based on debt. It's based on an illusion, and it's being kept afloat by the Federal Reserve, making fake money every night, injecting billions into the repo market. And they've been keeping that going. Our understanding is just long enough to unveil the new digital cryptocurrency system. And they know it's going to crash, but they wanted something so it wouldn't be blamed on them. They needed something to keep look over here. And the coronavirus.
Oh, it's perfect. Perfect.
So, and
that's
China
where we're
is
going.
A perfect test bed because it's a place with such authoritarian rule. They can do whatever they want, and
they'll plug it right into their social credit mechanism. It's already up and running, and it'll become an adjunct to that, the money system. You watch.
Okay, so we have some information from some good sources that this is going to be serious. And like I said, I never come on your show and give end of the world prophecies. And I rarely come on and say, hey, buy our stuff. But some things cannot be told in public. And there's some things we can say in private. We have a private site, which is patreon.com, patreon.com/cryptoviewing. Patreon.com/cryptoviewing. We're going to be recording a new segment tomorrow with what we think is coming and how you should prepare for it. So it would be worth it for people to log into that and buy the subscription. And that's all I'll say about that. I'm not a salesman. So
look at the top of headlines. I don't get a chance to write much anymore. It's not a great piece, but it's a nuts and bolts piece. When you go out in public, I just want you to be aware of you're coming into contact potentially with a lot of different things right now, of course, that can live for some up to weeks. It's known that the coronavirus, this one, can live up to 9 days on any non-hostile dry surface. 9 days. Your best defense, either wear disposable gloves or wash your hands continually. Do not touch your face. Stay away from your nose, your eyes. Just don't touch your face. Your hands they'll inoculate you with this horrible thing if it comes here and spreads like it apparently is going to do. We'll have to see. Go ahead.
Okay.
Ed, what do you have to say here? Ed got something to say?
Let's have Edward tell us how we were tasked this session that we're going to present and when, and then we'll later get into his session that he did a year ago before anybody had heard of coronavirus. But how were we tasked at crypto viewing? Because
please go to guests. Go to guests and look in the second section, Dick Allgire and Edward Riordan, and you can click on see the staggering results here. And you'll bring up Ed's. We have Ed, Daz, and Dick's sessions there for you, and then something else below that as well. Go ahead, Ed.
Yeah, we were tasked the way we're always tasked. We're just given this a target ID, set of random numbers and letters, and that's it. And so we do our sessions and we turn them in, and just like any other session. This one didn't feel good. This one didn't feel good at all. It was pretty bad. But we did them the way we do them all. We're given us a target ID and that's it. And we go from there. We're blind and probably even double blind on this one too, but we're blind to the targets. We have no idea what the target is. We're given an ID and that's all.
Now, if you look under guests, click on that link I suggested, you'll see the page come up. I've titled it 3 Great Remote Viewers Blind Targeted with the Wuhan Coronavirus. They didn't know what this was. Remember, they're just given random numbers and letters. Here's your clue, guys. Go to it. The first up is the remote viewing by Edward Riordan. So if you want to go, can you see that, Ed, right now? You're looking at it?
Yeah.
All right.
Oh, yeah, there it is.
Yeah. And it says, stay away from this. Small amounts could be lethal. Liver damage, kidney damage, lung damage, throat damage, weapons facility, and there's a drawing of a building with a skull and crossbones on it. Tell us more. This is your whiteboard work, I guess.
Though this is a paper session, and this was I was in the thick of it. The interesting when I started working on this target, my first overwhelming impression was some massive thing in the air, and which was really interesting to me. So I had to really go more and go as deep as I possibly could go. And I wanted to know where it came from, and this is where it led me to. The interesting thing was I was blind to this target, as we were blind to this target. But once I got the feedback and went back and looked at the target, this is the same location that from a previous remote viewing. So that was, I had to sit back. That was one of those 8 martini moments there. But this is a terrible place here, where they make deadly things, and not a place where you want to go. It's a bad place. And
bioweapons lab is what it is.
Yeah, it's a terrible place of death. It's really just a place of death. Mm-hmm. I don't care what they say. They may say they're trying to create vaccines, but in my opinion, that is a place of death. Yeah,
we know what they're really up to. Vaccines are almost an afterthought. They're looking for offensive weapons.
Yeah,
and they're able to do these. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. I was just saying it reminded me in the session of the biblical creeping death, of this fog that comes through and kills all the firstborn. That's what was coming to my mind when I was in the midst of
Interestingly, this virus seems to be to have a preference, first of all, for Asians so far, but older people, 50, 60, 70, 80. It's like they're getting rid of the older people with this weapon. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Richard, do you want to say something?
You can program it. You can kind of program it to take out who you want it to take out.
Go ahead, Dick.
Okay, let me interject that. Let me give a little bit of the timeline of what Edward did. First of all, we're not publishing the full sessions. The full sessions are dozens and dozens of pages. We're just giving like 1 or 2 pages from each of us for this because we don't have time right now. And the full sessions will be on our Patreon site. But when we worked this, the last target we had done was 4,000 years old. We were doing Hammurabi's code. So we were all immersed in that. And then we get tasked with crypto, which is highly technical computer stuff. And then we're given a new target ID. So we're bouncing around. We don't know if we're doing 4,000-year-old target, a future target, a current target, a crypto target. That's the blind protocol that we're under. Edward, you see 2 sessions, and what he did was, when did you do your ominous feeling one, Edward? Was that last year?
No, that was in 2017. That was about almost 3 years ago.
We'll get to that a little later. So let's save that for later. I want to go through these 3 sessions if we can first.
Just for the timeline, we got tasked this blind target, and where Edward went was the same place he had gone back in 2017.
Interesting. So okay.
That was.
Look at Edward's drawing on paper at the top here again. He's drawn this square building with a skull and crossbones on it. Weapons facility, ? Toxic warfare, chemical plant, biolab, lab rats, and he writes under it. Now this is in session. This is in his remote viewing mind. This place is not good. Dark energy here, right? Cutthroat people here. This is a bad place. And this is the same thing he encountered in 2017. He writes under that, like a blanket of particulates to watch out for, beware like creeping death. And he shows somebody running away from these buildings, somebody choking, and he writes, this is like the biblical creeping death, like a cloud that slowly moves in under people's feet, like death or the grim reaper comes for you. That must have left you feeling really really, really up afterward. When this comes out of you as a remote viewer, Edward, and you're writing this down, because you're writing what's coming through you, and you're looking at what you're writing, and you're feeling this. How do you deal with something this dark? I mean, what do you feel in your heart about humanity and all the rest of us? We're going to go through the break on this one. Thanks, Todd. Go ahead, Ed.
Well, because we've been doing this so long, Dick and Daz and myself, 20 plus years, each of us, there is, at least for me, a level of disassociation that I've had to place on myself for the having to deal with certain things like this. When you're working blind, you don't know where you're being asked to go. So there's a part of us in there that has to kind of protect us, especially when it comes to a target like this or a facility like that, which to me is just evil. It's like an evil place. So there's a bit of disassociation on my end that comes into play. And just like the one from 17, I did it and posted it, and then I just put it in the box and forgot about it and moved on.
If you weren't able to disassociate, you would be indeed in for a lot of
I'd be in a straitjacket, yeah. I'd be in a straitjacket, no doubt about it.
Yeah.
I think Dick, Daz, and myself would be.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry to interrupt. Edward, don't you find, this is what happens with me, is you're in the session and you see this building and it's like this blurry image and you go, okay, what ideas come, what I feel, you do a probe. And then you just write down, dark energy, bad molecules, cutthroat people, it's a bad place, creeping death.
Yeah.
Beware. Yeah. And so you write that right down, and you're collecting it, and it goes by you so fast, and you send your session in, and you think, well, I don't know, I may have been making that one up, I'm not sure. Then when you get the feedback, that's when it hits you. You look at it and you go, oh my God, that's when when it hits you.
Yeah, you get the chills, like when Jeff, when you were reading those, I had the chills. I'm like, oh my God, that sounds terrible. Because typically we don't go back and look at our stuff. No. We are high producing remote viewers, so we're always working. And so, like for this, we're in one of those rare times we're going back to look at our stuff here. I got the chills. Hearing it.
Wow.
If you get too attached to your work, you can't do it. You've got to just collect it and move on and let it flow.
That's where the 8 martinis come in. Let's go to look at Daz Smith's work. Dick, why don't you tell us about that?
Okay. The tasking here was, I just lost this. Hang on, let me get what the tasking was this virus, where did it come from, and then what's going to be the effect. So it was kind of a multi-layered tasking.
But you still had, just for our listeners, numbers and letters. That's all.
Yeah. Well, it was the person. What happens is there's a person who creates the target, who says, all right, this is the coronavirus. Where was it? Where did it come from? How was it created? What's going to be the effect? Right. They write that down. They put that in an envelope, and then they assign that the number IDs, H, right. What was it? YK, and then that's all that's given to us. So Daz, and it's interesting because remote viewers kind of divide up the target a little bit. Like on a subconscious level, like Daz says, okay, I'll see it on the molecular level, the virus level. And Edward saw the facility and the bigger picture. So Daz he drew the virus under a microscope. If you look at he's bubbly, effervescent, energetic, loves sugar, wrapped up, he saw a microscopic view of it.
I'm stunned at that. The depiction of the coronavirus by Daz Smith is staggering. You've got to understand, all of you out there, that he didn't have any front-loading, nothing. This is what came through to him, and that looks very much like the coronavirus.
Yeah. And, well, when it's an important target, viewers tend to do better. It's an interesting... This is
obviously a big one, and it haunted Ed for almost 3 years now. We're going to get to that in just a minute. So Daz Smith just nailed it with his drawing, what that damn thing looks like. Wow.
And there's more data in Daz's session, which we're not publishing. It's on our formal presentation. Uh-huh. And he was telling us this in the debrief last week. He said there's a secondary effect. It's like, it's not just one effect, then later it does other things to you. And that has since come out about this virus, is that you think you've fought it off, and then it starts attacking your heart and your internal organs.
Second wave and bad news. I've got a piece on that I'll be publishing later tonight. I mentioned it to you earlier. It's a very extraordinary outline of the exact thing you're talking about. It scared me. Scare is not the right word. It made me feel, I think, like Edward did, very dark, and it's a bad scene. Okay, good job, Daz, when you hear this program. Outstanding. All right, let's go to the third session, and that's remote viewing work from Dick Allgire on the coronavirus. Go ahead, Dick.
There were other sketches that I made of, I saw a country road with a hastily assembled roadblock, like stuff piled up in guards, not letting people pass. And I went, oh, that's interesting. And then my next look was where I really got target contact. And it's interesting how it happens, because I close my eyes and I go to look and I see long tables, counters, and they're stainless steel. They're shiny, smooth. So I saw these long tables made of stainless steel, lots of glass cabinets, beakers, people in white coats doing research, clinical stuff. Oh, it smells like a dentist office. What's that smell? Like a dentist office smells. That's what got me on the target. And I went, man, this is a laboratory. Why am I seeing a laboratory? Well, the tasking was, where did this come from? Then the next thing I see is a guy with goggles and a mask.
Yeah, scroll down a little bit to the next whiteboard. Dick did life, humans,
and
two.
Ideas of temperature control. I wrote feces. Mm-hmm. I don't know why. Feeder, flask. Chinese, but doesn't work for the Chinese government. Gown, goggles, mask. Breathing measured, like he's breathing very carefully. Again, that dentist office smell. And then measure. I was looking for a word and I couldn't come up with it. Edward and I are notoriously bad spellers. You lose your ability to spell. Edward, you're a worse speller than me.
I love it.
I don't care about the spelling. We just want to be able to read. We just want to be able to read the words. So, don't scribble. That's all.
Inculcate, intubate, infuse. I was coming, what's the word? The word is inoculate? And then drip, drip, drips of fluid into a vial. I thought he was doing doing some scientific research. So
yeah, it was inoculate. That's what it was.
Couldn't come up with it. But
close enough.
Your brain is in like a different language, or it's a different, like your right brain doesn't, the logical part of your brain doesn't work when you're remote viewing. If you try to invoke it, you lose the signal line. So you just, you spell like a first grader.
Well, all right, you nailed it. You all three got different parts, critical parts of this whole issue. This was not something that came from tilapia and bats. This is a laboratory issue. And most everyone understands that now that one will go there. Some people just don't want to go there, and that's fine. But all the evidence suggests that this is like the SARS virus, but 2.0. I used to call it SARS 2.0. It's an upgraded version. It's more infectious. It's got other dynamics about it that SARS didn't have. It's a nasty SOB. It doesn't go away in a week. It hangs on, and it comes back in a second wave. I guess if you survive the first one, you think you're cured. Well, no, there's apparently no immunity conferred upon people who survive it the first time. And they're ready and waiting to get it a second time. And as Dick said, it appears to go for different organs, like the heart, which would explain why people who apparently are relatively asymptomatic all of a sudden fall over dead. Their hearts just stop. So this is a real nasty, rotten, evil thing that has been unleashed on this planet one way or the other, accidentally or intentionally. Did somebody have a bad hair day and want to take everybody down with him or her? I don't know. Let's go now to the next section. And I wrote up very quickly, here now are some graphics and text from a session Edward Riordan did last year, but it's actually in 2017. I'll change that. It's almost 3 years ago.
Yeah, that was my mistake. I didn't know when that.
That's all right. We'll change it. He had a dark and forbidding, but it's actually foreboding. Maybe it is a forbidding. They both work. A very bad feeling about a big future event. Now, this is 2017 that Edward Riordan encountered this material. Edward, go ahead.
Yeah, that was a really interesting experience. What happened was one morning in 2017, I had some signal type of thing went through me. It was very strange, and I felt very weird. A very weird sensation had gone through me physically, like a signal or something like that. I didn't want to just let it go, so I turned it into a remote viewing project to find out what that was. And that turned into 5 very long, information-packed remote viewing sessions of a virus, pathogen that was going to be released from a facility. There would be contamination. I'm getting emotional just thinking about it.
That's all right. It's a very emotional thing. Just to underscore what Edward's talking about, seeing something this grievously dark 3 years ago and not really having anything to do with it except file it away, I would think that that was never terribly far from your subconscious. It was there. That would be a guess, but
he's been talking about it for a while on our private debriefings. Edward, after I had a conversation with who I had a conversation with today, I sat down and I broke into tears with what I think's coming. Yeah, the impact of it, our remote viewing, and it hit me, and I was sobbing. It was this. I mean, this could get bad. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, I was about a week or maybe 2 weeks ago, I did a small little video talking about that session because the corona story was becoming so big. And somebody sent me a link. They said, "Oh, look at they're talking about this facility in this town called Wuhan." And I read the article, and immediately it was like, "Oh my God, this is the time marker. This is the time marker." So that session, yeah, I did those sessions in 2017. I put the videos, all the videos are up, and I just went on, filed away. Oh yeah, it's in the back of my mind, this thing, we'll see. When I was sent that article about that, I think it's called the virology lab, I believe is what they call it, in Wuhan, that was it. It hit me like a sledgehammer over my head, and it was, this is okay. This is now. It's a time marker of a chain of events, and this is a big one. This is it. Here we are, and God, I'm getting emotional again. It's going to be an emotional show. But this is
Edward. Look, if this goes where you and Dick and I personally think it's going to go, all you have to do is look at China and then impose that image, that vision over America, and understand that if that happens, everything we've known is gone. It's gone. So that's a very difficult thing to deal with. Go ahead, Dick.
You know that we've got a source that has been telling it. I've been being told for over 2 years that we're coming to the end of this civilization. There have been other civilizations, and this version of humanity it's run its course. And a lot of the predictions that I've been given, not through remote viewing, just from somebody knowing where it's going to have come true. And I've been told about viruses for a while. So it's humanity. Look what we're doing to the planet. Look where the economy is. Look what it's sometimes they wipe it clean,
It's called a reset, I guess. I do believe that the planet being 4.5 billion years old, and I've said this numerous times, I think we, or similar hominid species types, have been here, brought here, seeded here, otherwise arisen here, only to ultimately and eventually, time and time again, as these things cycle through, destroy ourselves with technology. And if you read Edgar Casey's book on Atlantis, they were messing with genetics back then, and they went too far. And I don't know what happened exactly, but Earth changes or something supposedly destroyed Atlantis. But we are at a point now where we have fouled our beautiful home so egregiously. Look at Fukushima now. They're talking about dumping all of those storage tanks into the ocean. What they were also talking about doing was actually, Edward and Dick, boiling the water off and letting it go up into the air with all of those radionuclides. Madness. Yeah. So they're going to dump it into the Pacific. Insanity. Yeah. Madness. When we split the atom, I think we started the clock ticking. And we may be at 1 minute to midnight now. Yeah.
I'll tell you, my opinion on that, splitting the atom, we made a deal with the Grim Reaper. And the Grim Reaper said, fine, I'll show you how to make this bomb, and I'm going to start sweeping you all up. It's up to you. And they said, yeah, let's do it. The Grim Reaper came in.
I think we've been here before and done this before. There was a book called A Candle for Leibowitz. A candle? Yeah. And it talked about that very thing, that over the eons on this planet, we've done it to ourselves over and over again. We've blown it. We've got genetic flaws. Whoever built us, and we're machines. Look at the double helix. Look at the plug-ins. Come on. It's a machine, an electrical machine. We've blown it before, and it looks like we're on the doorstep right now of having to confront the possibility that we may have blown it again. I don't know, but it doesn't look good right now.
Well, let's talk about what we can do. Jeff, I just got off the phone a couple hours ago with the people at Numana.
Good.
I bought quite a bit of storable food. I'm getting it shipped out. There may be a time when you have to stay in your house for a while.
Did you call the guy I sent you to?
I had a conversation with him, and I made the order. I ordered it today. It's on the way. So I'm on an island. Just about everything we use here has to be brought in. They don't grow enough food. And if the supply chain breaks down, I'll be damn glad I have that. I've got cases of beans and rice right now. I'm knee high into black beans and rice, but I got the Numana. And Allison C., Jeff, I believe in that. You told me about that years ago, and I use it regularly, and I think it can help. So
I'm going to say one quick thing about it, and I think all of you out there know I'm not a huckster. I don't push things, but I do have hard science showing DNA evidence as to exactly how and why Allison can conquer viruses. I'm going to leave it at that. I'll eventually get permission to publish it, but Allison C. is extremely important. Food is extremely important. You don't eat, you die. And as far as water goes, even if you have tap water, you're going to want to make sure it's pure. I don't own anything about Berkey water filters, but the Big Berkey, Berkey, is probably the best and easiest one you want to try and get. You've still got time to prepare now. In 6 weeks from now, 5 weeks, I don't know. 2-3 months, I don't know. You won't have time to prepare if things go the way they may.
April.
All right, there you go. All right, now I didn't want to say April, but I know what you're talking about. Okay, so we've said it, April. You've got February and March. You've got 6 weeks to get prepared. Numana, Numanna, Numana.com. I bought mine from them. Richard just bought his today from them. And when you have that food, and he's got black beans now, so do I. I've got black beans. But when you have this quality food, which lasts for over 25 years, I got the organic stuff, but they have everything. And get what you need. If you've got a family, you have an obligation to provide for your loved ones. Don't expect the state to take care of you. It's not going to happen. So you've got time now. So we recommend Numanna.com, N, Numana. And Allison C., by all means, get what you can. We're getting a big new shipment in next week. We just about sold out, but we've got a few left. We're getting a huge shipment in next week. And when the word gets out on this, it's going to be gone.
Yeah. Well, listeners, support Jeff Rentz. You can buy it on his site, Allison C., and I swear by it. And help Jeff out. You know, Jeff, more than 20 years I've been listening to you, and your show has changed my life. I don't believe everything, and you've gone off the rails a couple of times. You've had a couple of guests that turned out to be not right, but for the most part, you're steering us in the right course, and it has helped me. So thank you.
Well, I'm very glad. Thank you. I'm very glad that it has made a difference. And
I mean, we're trying to give people truth and facts, and we're all nice guys, man. I would go spend a weekend at Jeff's house, and Edward could come to my house anytime. And I'd, on a long trip, have both of you guys in the car. We would have interesting talks. We all like each other, and we're not shilling.
You know, and I could say another thing, that if I had the ability, there are so many of you out there all around the world. I would love to be able to meet, shake your hand, and sit down and talk with you. And the nice things that have been written to me over the years, and even the donations that come in, You have no idea how much they mean to me. I appreciate them all, and I do try to read them all. Even if I cannot answer you, I do read them. So thank you, all of you. Dick has done so much in our profession of journalism, 38 years, television news, KITV, Hawaii. He is a real professional's professional, but you know him as a human being on top of that. And that's a nice thing to see. When you look at the journalists today, or the alleged journalists, up there preening and primping, and it's awful. And all they're doing is readers. They're just readers. They're hacks. There is very little real journalism.
They're just disseminating propaganda. They're just giving opinions.
That's what they are. They're hacks, propaganda hacks. Yeah. Edward, what else would you like to say? We've got about 3 minutes left. And I really want to thank you for sharing what you saw and encountered 3 years ago. It's right there for everyone to look at. We might want to take a real quick look at it again and explain what it is that you draw on your paper session there 3 years ago, if you can. Distress code. Just distress code.
Yeah, well, the distress code, that wave that went through me as I took that into a remote viewing session was like a distress code, or like an alarm going off. And it went through me, and I was able to perceive it and experience it. And I took that and I decoded what that was. As I decoded that distress call, it turned into a virus situation, dealing with a specific facility, a quarantined area, military involvement, and pathogen. So there's a few drawings here. One of them here, I have the signal, like what was being broadcast out, and over here was the pathogen. What else do I have in here? The alarm system, facility there. There's that contamination area there, that facility. Same one I drew in the other session.
Isn't that weird? Yeah,
that was an 8 martinis moment there.
Yeah.
And there's more to it. These are 5 really packed sessions. But down here I have a thing where there was somebody speaking at a podium, and this was not public. This was a closed discussion amongst people regarding this situation. And so now I just have to sit back and wonder, what are they talking about in private as they're preparing for what's taking place here, you know? But it's for me, it's a time marker and a chain of events, and this just lets me know where we're at in time. So when I got that article, and that's it, that's the facility, that's the one. Okay, now I know where I am in time, and so now we'll wait for the next time marker. But we're going through the chain of events.
Yes, Edward has written the word breach several times. Feels like the breach contamination, stay away, leaking out, spilling out, breach, contamination, biological. These are things that came through him and manifested on his paper 3 years ago. The building is near water. Understand that when you read these words, they're not yesterday. These are 3 years ago. And yesterday's, or the session you just did, backs this up and fits like a hand in a glove in it.
How you did the ones that we just did, Edward, you did it first, right? And so you put your stuff in, and then Daz did it. And I was busy doing the Hammurabi editing with Jeff. And I told the tasker, I said, hey, I don't have time for this target. You guys are overloading us. And the tasker said, oh, okay, no problem. Like, oh, it was just not an important target. He said, okay, whatever. If you don't do it, it doesn't matter. And I was editing the Hammurabi, and then I said, I better do this. And one night, I go, oh, I've got to do this. I got to do this tonight. And I cleaned my desk, and I did it. And I finished my session. I said, oh, man, I think that might be, is that what I'm thinking of? And so I I sent it in, and at that point, the target was so old that I had access to your guys' stuff. So I looked at yours and went, oh shit, oh God. But you did it first, I think.
I think it was in the chain of events there.
Yeah.
And then you didn't see anybody else's work until we debriefed it like about a week ago.
We were.
So this one's been simmering. They keep us stupid, Jeff. They don't, they don't say, hey, we got a target. You've got to do that. Oh, here's a target. Oh, I'm kind of busy. Oh, okay. Then don't do it.
That's funny. Well, we have to again remind people that this is what it looks like. Is it going to come to pass? I don't know. But honestly, I feel a trepidation. I'm not trying to be dramatic, like I've never felt before. And I don't like this feeling. I don't like it.
Jeff, I hope in April we can come on and analyze this and say, wow, it died down and we were, it was a psyop and we
went away like SARS.
Yeah. I tell you, Jeff, we do, Dick Daz and I, we do the monthly predictions every month. And a lot of the times, all three of us were like, man, I hope I'm wrong about this. I want to be wrong. I don't want to be right about this.
Got you loud and clear on that.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we'll find out. Thank you, Edward, for being here again, as always. It's great to talk to you.
It's an honor, Jeff. It's a real honor. Thank you so much.
You bet. And Richard, glad you got your food and things, and we're going to get your Allison C on the way to you. So you'll be at least set in that regard. So take care.
Yeah, hopefully there are some other things we can do, and maybe we'll do a show on that when we can. I haven't. We're going to have a long discussion internally with our crypto viewing people tomorrow. We have that.
All right. Well, anytime. Let's do it. Okay.
Yeah. Next time we got to talk about Hammurabi. We didn't even touch on that. That is one of my best remote viewing projects ever. The 4,000-year-old one.
All right. Okay.
We'll do a show on that soon.
All right. Good night, friends. Take care.
Bye, Al.
Okay. All right. We'll be right back with Hour 3. Hang on.